An Oklahoma senator shines light on government waste. A new swarm of earthquakes rattles windows and worries residents, and winter storms continue to wreak misery on thousands of Oklahomans. This is OU Nightly.
The slow-moving storm that crept across the southern plains is gone, but its effects are far from over, Tyler.
That's right, Ashley. 4 days of freezing rain, down power lines, toppled trees, and shut down schools and businesses in much of central and western Oklahoma.
And as OU Nightly's Ryan King shows us, a long cleanup lies ahead.
When Thad Mock arrived this morning, Open Arms Clinic was without power and surrounded by fallen tree limbs.
I think people don't realize how unprepared they are until it happens.
What happened was ice and freezing rain accumulated across parts of the state over the weekend. 53,000 residents are currently without power, including more than 24,000 residents in Oklahoma City, according to OG&E System Watch. With the power out and fallen tree limbs filling the streets, everyday citizens like Mock are doing their part to limit the effects the weather has had. Mock ripped down, sawed, and piled up the limbs broken by ice. Even though he knows what to do when these situations arise, Mock thinks metro area residents need to be more prepared during this time of year.
If my power was out as long as some of the people in Oklahoma City, I wouldn't be prepared. You know, we'd be struggling to stay warm, and so I feel for all the people in Oklahoma City that haven't had power for several days.
For up-to-date information on power outages in the Oklahoma City metro area, visit OG&E.com. Ryan King, OU Nightly.
OG&E's latest outage reports 49,000 without electricity statewide, 350 here in Norman.
Earthquakes continue to rattle the nerves and homes of people in northern Oklahoma. At least 5 quakes have hit the state since early this morning. The strongest, a big one by Oklahoma standards, 4.7 magnitude near Medford. That's one shook folks awake throughout southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma. Today's activity brings the total number of earthquakes in the past week to 45. That includes a handful in extreme southern Kansas. Fully 36 of the quakes have been inside Oklahoma's borders. Despite this swarm of quakes, Oklahoma's Corporation Commission has not ordered wastewater wells to shut down, nor has it directed energy companies to reduce the volume of wastewater they are injecting into the ground.
You know, Ashley, those are some pretty big earthquakes, but I definitely didn't feel them. I was asleep.
No, I slept through the entire thing.
I just don't know how anyone feels them that early in the morning, especially I guess if they're light sleepers, possibly. But, you know, those are some pretty big ones, like we said. But, Joe, are we going to see anything big like those weather-wise this week?
No, guys, nothing like that coming in here for the weather this week. In fact, it's giving a calm one out there. We're going to see temperatures out there right now. They're in the 30s, 39 in Oklahoma City, 39 in Norman, and 44 degrees right there in Lawton. So no matter where you are, it's a chilly fall day here across the Sooner State. With those winds, though, those are gusting out of the south around 5 to 10 miles per hour, 9 miles per hour right there in Oklahoma City, 7 in Norman. And, you know, we're getting ready for the holidays here at OU Nightly, so definitely have a nice holiday-themed headlines graphic here. Looking at above-average temperatures, a calm weather week, and tracking our next rain chances. And tomorrow starts the first day of meteorological winter here in Oklahoma. All that and more when we return, guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Joe. $48,000 to study tobacco use in Russia. $5 million in fraudulent income tax returns. Those are some of the problems reported by Oklahoma Senator James Lankford in his first report on wasteful government spending. Lankford's effort follows the blueprint laid out by his predecessor, U.S. Senator Tom Coburn. Coburn's annual survey of government waste was always welcomed by lawmakers in both parties. Lankford's report is titled Federal Fumbles: 100 Ways the Government Dropped the Ball.
And OU Nightly's Anna Whitney joins us now in the News Center with the latest on last week's shooting at a Colorado Planned Parenthood. Anna.
Planned Parenthood's Executive Vice President Don Laggins denounced all Republican presidential candidates for their reaction to Friday's shooting at Planned Parenthood Clinic in Colorado Springs that left 3 dead. She said it is offensive and outrageous that some politicians are now claiming this tragedy has nothing to do with the toxic environment they helped create. Laggins specifically named Senator Ted Cruz. The VP also gave an update on the victims, saying all who are in the hospital are in good condition. Residents in China were told to stay indoors after air pollution filled the skies. The air quality index in the city of Beijing was 10 times higher than healthy levels. While China deals with its pollution, world leaders are meeting in Paris with the hopes of finding a way to slow the pace of global climate change. The high-profile leaders of 150 nations are being greeted by climate change protesters after the climate march in Paris was banned, following the terrorist attacks. Paris police tear-gassed and detained roughly 100 protesters. And today marks the 10th annual Cyber Monday. It is expected to be the most profitable online shopping day yet. Combined, online retailers are expected to make upwards of $3 billion, proving Cyber Monday continues to compete with Black Friday sales. That's what's happening around the world. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Anna. The decision in a lawsuit against the Oklahoma Department of Human Services could cost the state millions. Oklahoma County District Judge Barbara Swinton ruled fathers in paternity cases have been charged too much interest for back child support judgments. And if the decision is upheld, more than 26,000 men could receive refunds.
Nearly everyone knows it's the law, but about 25% of Oklahoma drivers do not have minimum liability insurance coverage. That low compliance rate has insurance officials worried about what that could mean for law-abiding drivers. To meet Oklahoma law, a policy must include liability insurance to help pay for damage caused in a crash. Those caught driving without insurance face stiff penalties, a fine of up to $250, 30 days in jail, and suspension of their driver's license and vehicle's registration. The same law applies to motorcyclists.
And still ahead on OU Nightly, cleanups are in store for a couple of toxic Oklahoma towns.
Plus, world leaders determine ways to combat climate change.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. Jennifer Sellers is here now with an update on the Earth Report. And Jennifer, I hear you have an update on a couple of big environmental messes up in northeast Oklahoma.
Yes, Tyler. 2 companies with ties to abandoned lead and zinc mining operations in the town of Pitcher have agreed to pay $10 million to help with cleanup efforts. Decades after the mining companies moved out, leftover piles of toxic material forced the buyout of 2 Oklahoma towns and still riddle the area. However, $10 million is not much compared to the $330 million federal agencies are still owed for the cleanup, and the cleanup is far from over.
So what we're trying to do is clean up areas and consolidate the material that has to remain on site in a smaller footprint, and it will be capped and vegetated, with soil and seeded, so that we put a barrier between people and animals, et cetera, with the metals.
A federal judge still has to approve the proposed settlement. The companies also agreed to pay over $300,000 to the state of Oklahoma. And world leaders began meetings today in Paris to discuss the health of our planet. Attendees agree that climate change is real and dangerous and want to find a way to reduce global emissions. Many nations want a simple and straightforward plan on drastically cutting greenhouse emissions for the second half of this century. One major goal is to move away from fossil fuels and go towards wind and solar power. Over 150 countries submitted plans to cut emissions, preserve forests, and develop clean energy. To ensure these meetings are effective, leaders say 3 main things need to happen. Nation leaders need to meet every few years to reevaluate climate change. The UN should have a system of accountability to make sure countries are keeping their promises, and the poorest countries need financial help to contribute to the overall goal. The years 2011 to 2015 have been the warmest 5-year period on record. Scientists say if this issue is not addressed, rising sea levels and changing weather patterns could greatly affect future generations. And changes in the climate could be affecting water we drink and play in right now. The EPA is working to protect swimmers and kayakers from growing threats of toxic algae in lakes and rivers. Rising temperatures and an increase of phosphorus in the water could be to blame. The agency plans to put more funding toward combating nutrient pollution. The agency is also looking to see if drinking water is affected by the algae. And to help cut U.S. emissions, the Obama administration moved to boost ethanol fuel production. Despite opposition from oil companies, environmentalists, and GOP candidates, the EPA's new rule will increase corn-based ethanol production for gas blends through 2016. The decision may not actually lead to higher ethanol percentages at the pump and should not drastically affect gas prices. So that's an interesting trend we're moving towards, you guys. Those corn, just different kinds of gas, because I mean that's something that affects all of us. So
yeah, there's a lot of ethanol in gas, and I try to stick to the lower ethanol gases, but sometimes you just can't avoid it.
Should be something to see what happens in the future.
Definitely.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you. Norman Animal Welfare often comes under scrutiny for refusing animals, but those same critics also want the shelter to be a no-kill of adoptable animals shelter. Records obtained by OU Nightly show that Norman Animal Welfare has euthanized over 50 adoptable animals throughout the 2014 and 2015 fiscal years. The definition of adoptable is often debated, however, but a committee member stated that taking in a dog and euthanizing it is often better than a fate it could suffer outside the shelter.
And last night, school children from across Oklahoma joined Governor Mary Fallin and Superintendent of Public Instruction Joy Hoffmeister in lighting the Capitol Christmas tree. Performing at the ceremony was Norman High School Jazz Ensemble and Monroe Elementary's Manawai. In order to cut costs across the year, the governor's mansion grounds and 100 evergreens in State Capitol Park were not lit with Christmas lights. The move is expected to save around $11,000.
And still ahead on OU Nightly, an unexpected visitor takes beachgoers by surprise.
And Joe Puma is standing by with the weather.
That's right, guys. If you take a look at this live shot out there, you can see there's that sunshine finally returning to the forecast. I'll tell you how long it will return, how long it will stick around in the full forecast when we return. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Well, we had that ice storm in here that caused havoc across Oklahoma. Well, that low pressure center has now moved off to our north, and that's going to be creating some disturbance, some big snowfalls for people up in northern central portions of the United States here. Let's take a look, though, what's going on with our weather story here. We have this area of low pressure again. That's going to be creating a lot of snowfall for our northern plains area. So if you have travel plans to the north and areas, maybe even Chicago, could be impacted by this if you have travel plans out there. Now, however, we are watching a storm system that's going to come in here for this weekend time frame. By Thursday morning time frame, it's still out across the Pacific there, but this will continue to move into our area. By Saturday afternoon, you can see we are in the sweet spot here. Right there, there is the winds creating that lift. That's going to create some showers and thunderstorms that are going to move through here, that could move through here for your Saturday night into Sunday time frame. But overall, the rest of the work week looks really nice out there. For this evening, though, looking at temperatures in the 30s and 20s, 30 degrees in Oklahoma City, 29 in Norman and Lawton, 25, though, right there in Elk City. So again, the further north and northwest you go, due to the ice pack and snow there, that will keep those temperatures a little bit cooler in those areas. So no matter where you are, though, heaters are on. For your Tuesday time frame, we're looking at 7 a.m., 29 degrees, so a cool start to the day. By noon, though, 47 degrees and 51 by that 4 p.m. hour. So no matter where you are, again, it's going to be another chilly fall day across the Sooner State. Taking a look at the highs tomorrow, you can see a pretty big spread between 53 in Ardmore, 52 in Norman, all the way up to 47 degrees right there in Woodward. Now, here where we go, we have like a roller coaster of temperatures here. We go lower 50s for your Tuesday, down into the 40s for Wednesday. Then we warm back up near 60 degrees as we take a look at your Saturday time frame, 57 degrees with increasing clouds as that system starts to approach us here. We're looking at a 30% chance only for Sunday right now, but again, we'll fine-tune that as we get closer to the events. But overall, guys, the work week looks great.
Really glad to see that better weather coming in here, because it's still a little cool compared to what we have had, but it is understandably winter.
Yeah, exactly. Meteorological winter starts tomorrow, so.
Really excited for that.
Yeah. I'm just glad that the weather's good, that way people can kind of clean up sort of the stuff that happened over the weekend.
Exactly.
So that'll give them a nice break to do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Joe.
you.
Absolutely.
Well, Hunter McKee is here with a look at the big weekend in Oklahoma sports. Hunter?
Thanks, Ashley. The OU football team is Big 12 and Bedlam champions, and the men's basketball team got an important non-conference win. Sports is straight ahead. Well, welcome back. The Oklahoma Sooners won their 9th Big 12 championship on Saturday night. They took down their arch rivals from the north as they dominated the Oklahoma State Cowboys in Stillwater. Let's go to the second quarter as Baker Mayfield hands the ball off to Joe Mixon, and he goes left, cuts back, then he goes right. Now watch this. He picks up a nice block from his quarterback, and he's off to the races. 66 yards for Joe Mixon, and Oklahoma right there is rolling. And we go on to the next play as Oklahoma State quarterback Mason Rudolph's back to pass. He gets hit by Stryker as he throws, and Jordan Thomas intercepts it and returns it for the touchdown. Sooners rolling still 34-10 at that point. And then right before half, Samaje Perine, of course, he's going to get the load. He breaks one tackle, breaks another tackle, and he steamrolls to the corner and scores. And Oklahoma right there, 41-17. They end up dominating this Bedlam matchup, 58-23. And as mentioned, the Sooners are the outright Big 12 champs. Head coach Bob Stoops in his 17th season. No other coach in Big 12 history won more than 2 Big 12 championships. Stoops owns 9 now. The Cowboys probably weren't too happy that the Sooners got to celebrate on their home field.
To know that the fans have stuck with us ever since we lost to Texas, and they stood right by our side, and they knew our potential, and they kept cheering us on. And so it's pretty neat to see that even in a Lloyd Noble Center that wasn't fully packed for that basketball game, that we got a standing ovation and a pretty loud clap for us.
And the Oklahoma men's basketball team played the Wisconsin Badgers at the Lloyd Noble Center. Isaiah Cousins drives and dishes the ball out to big man Ryan Spangler for the 3. Then, next play, Cousins again driving down the lane, but this time puts it up for the quick 2. And then true freshman Christian James gets it on the action and passes it down court to Spangler for the easy layup. Then Denzel Walker. Actually, Isaiah Cousins going down the court, passes it to Ryan Spangler, and Spangler gives it to Denzel Walker, and Walker will go in against 2 defenders and lay it up for the 2. For the nice floater, Sooners beat Wisconsin 65-48.
It's something we're working on as a team, get tougher every day, and I think, today we were better at it. That's how we want to play. We want to, out-rebound people, out-tough people, and I think, for the most part today we did that better.
The Oklahoma City Thunder have now won 4 games in a row, including all 3 games since Kevin Durant returned to the lineup, leading him to winning the Western Conference Player of the Week award. The Thunder look to keep it rolling as they travel to Atlanta tonight to take on the Hawks in a heavyweight showdown. And the great Kobe Bryant will officially retire at the end of this season. The 5-time NBA champion has played his entire career with the Lakers. His amazing numbers, 17 All-Star appearances, 4 NBA Finals MVP awards, 2 league scoring titles, his 3rd all-time in scoring, and for you anti-Kobe's #1 in missed shots. And the Pats visited the Broncos on a cold Denver night in the 4th quarter. Broncos down 4. Brock Osweiler finds Andre Caldwell for the 4-yard touchdown to take the lead, but the Patriots aren't done. Steven Gostkowski makes this 47-yard field goal to send it to overtime. And then after the Broncos stop to New England, C.J. Anderson gets the toss on the left side and outruns everyone for the 48-yard walk-off touchdown. Broncos hand the Patriots their first loss on the season. And after the game in his news conference, Bill Belichick, a man of few words, was asked about his emotions when seeing star tight end Rob Gronkowski get injured.
Well, what do you think?
And now more of the stare that no reporter wants to be on the receiving end of. I mean, he can be a scary man sometimes, huh, Tyler?
I would have been a little nervous.
That stare was a little scary. Just a little scary. Bill, I just can't.
I mean, he's still a great coach. There's a lot of people who like him. You just don't want to ask the wrong questions, right?
No.
About Rob? Yeah, especially.
Thanks, Hunter. The North Pole makes its way to a Florida beach straight ahead on OU Nightly.
I'm Anna Whitney at the Update Desk with the latest on the death of a woman burned inside a mobile home in Norman. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office has arrested the victim's husband, Cody Wayne Fish, for the death of his wife, Brandy Fish. Her body was found November 23rd, and her autopsy found the cause of death was blunt force trauma. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow our Twitter. If you have a story suggestion for us, let us know. That's it for you. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Anna. And looks like Santa is taking a break from the frigid north and carving it up at Cocoa Beach, Florida. A Santa-clad pro surfer dropped into Shepherd Park on a jet ski. After some rad moves, he came ashore and posed for pictures with kids and gave out candy canes. The event is put on by the organization Surfing Santas, and they say it's a big hit with all the local families.
I can imagine that it's a big hit. Santa Claus out there.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by Gaylord College. Good night.